The Argentines were expecting and preparing for a helicopter-borne assault on Port Stanley. They never dreamt that the British would simply walk. The men of 3 Commander Brigade, crossing the island north of the mountains, found another name for it, yomping. Whatever you call it, it will be remembered as one of the greatest feats of arms in the history of the British Army. Carrying all they needed for battle in their arms and on their backs in 120-pound packs, some 3,000 troops of 4-2 and 4-5 Commando Royal Marines and the 3rd Battalion of the Parachute Regiment marched for 70 long miles through the mud and the cold of East Falkland. They set up brigade headquarters at Teal Inlet, and while the Marines were digging the defences, extra supplies came in from the landing ship Sir Percival. And by helicopter. Bandwagons sped through the area, taking forward patrols to scout the hillsides ahead. A few soldiers of 3 Para improvised a welcome fire. An Argentine airstrike at this stage would have been a major setback, especially since the headquarters was crammed with food and ammunition. But all that appeared in the sky were the British helicopters, reassuringly carrying the artillery east into the dusk, to Mount Kent. There, under the frost and the camouflage netting, soldiers slept beside their 105mm light guns. The men of 2-9 Commando Royal Artillery prepared for the order to begin pounding the enemy's positions on the mountains ahead. An advanced British foot patrol from 4-2 Commando was briefed on just how determined the Argentines were.
We know how they're going to reinforce themselves, because on the slopes of Mount Kent, feature at the back, they left a tented area which contained their op orders for the defence of this area. Right? And they are prepared to lose 50% of their supporting troops. Right, their quick reaction force. So they're going to take this quite seriously. The guns are staying here, sir, until they can secure a further suitable area forward. There's no reason to move at the moment, because we can just sit back and bomb shit out of them from here.
Then began the battle for the strategic positions on Mount Harriet, Two Sisters, and Mount Longing. The troops manning the Argentine front-line positions were all conscripts. Some fought well, others surrendered before they had to fight at all. And many were captured in courageous assaults by British units storming heavily fortified positions. In all, 600 prisoners were taken as the first 3 mountain targets fell, at the cost of 22 British lives. The plan was a coordinated pincer movement. While elements of 5 Brigade were moving in from Bluff Cove, 3 Brigade had finished yomping their way across from San Carlos. And the big guns mercilessly followed those Argentines who fell back.
No, correct! Bearing 1368 mil, 350 mil, set! Elevation! 424 mil! 424 mil, set! Ready! Fire! Back!
Helicopters plied to and fro, distributing fresh ammunition. Below them, 2 Para, victors at Goose Green, were moving forward again, many with special night sights on their weapons. And by now, for all the troops involved, the strain of their achievement was beginning to tell. It made a helicopter lift to forward positions especially welcome. Blues and Royals and their Scorpion light tanks were moving up too, helping pack as much firepower as possible into the tightening grip on Port Stanley's outer defences. As British troops moved forward onto Two Sisters Mountain, the Argentine artillery tried to target in on them. The weary soldiers barely seemed to notice. Wessex helicopters scurried down the valleys as resupplying continued throughout the barrage. The Milan anti-tank missile was being used with great and unexpected effect against enemy trenches. And now the artillery barrage was hitting targets in Port Stanley itself. The Gurkhas paused before their assault on Mount William. Some clambered up for a first look at the town they were fighting for. Just outside Port Stanley, a rolling artillery and mortar barrage was hitting Sapper Hill, soon to be taken by the Royal Marines. They gathered their strength for that assault in a makeshift camp on the northern edge of Two Sisters, oblivious to shells bursting around them. On June 14th, the Marines and the Welsh Guards attacked Sapper Hill. The night before, the Gurkhas had taken Mount William. The 2nd Battalion Scots Guards overran Tumbledown Mountain. Because of the open terrain, nearly all the major battles here took place at night. After the fall of Wireless Ridge just above the town, the Argentine defences collapsed. As 4-5 Commando carefully walked in vehicle tracks through a possible minefield, news came through of a ceasefire.
We beat them now. No more opening fire. No more opening fire. No more opening fire.
One first reaction here was to take time to mark up the minefield properly. But it nearly all went wrong. A Harrier strike had been called on Port Stanley. It was only just diverted with seconds to spare.
We're made safe, weapons!
Looking to use it now.
You've not got one at the spoke leg, have you?
No. Get the cat on the arm in the month of
In the last 2 days of fighting, 31 British soldiers had been killed, 79 wounded. Now it was all over.
There is a white flag flying over Stanley.
Very marvellous.